Recorded live from a previously unfinished attic in downtown Monroe, this is Drawing Bigger Circles, where we dig into what's going on behind the scenes and out in the streets of our city, Monroe, North Carolina. My name is Stephen Stegall, and I'm the chairperson for Change from Monroe. We're a grassroots organization that seeks to connect neighbors to neighbors through a political engagement, civic education, and a myriad of community service opportunities. And as always, I'm joined by my producer, of which I'm still trying to figure out if I'm radicalizing him or if I'm being the one radicalized, Kevin Daniels.
Oh, I think we're both pretty rad.
Skateboards.
Yay!
Yeah. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing pretty well. Long weekend, but, back to it.
So I've been taught by somebody who's really trying to if you want to make a deeper connection with people, you say, no, really, tell me how you're doing, Daniel.
Oh.
Daniel. Kevin.
Yeah, it works better if you use the right name, I think.
It's your fault for having two fucking first names, all right?
It's a true story. When I was in the Air Force, we always called each other last names, and
sure.
through boot camp and tech school. We got to tech school, and the dude was like, "I want some normalcy. We just got to call each other by our first names." And I'm like, "All right, cool. My name's Kevin." And he's like, "That's great. We're still going to call you Daniels because it's just a first name anyway." Yeah. So I was like, "Yep, that's." And here we are coming full circle. That the guy who really, really wants to know how I'm feeling and how I'm doing just got my name wrong. So
it's only while we're recording.
We're only on episode 10.
Yeah. So did you know that the entire left is now responsible for Charlie Kirk's death? I
heard that. Even though it was an alt-right crazy dude that was brainwashed by other stuff.
Right.
Apparently, the elimination of the left is priority number one in Monroe.
It's on the agenda.
It's on the agenda, and very much looking forward to seeing how the mayor wants to carry that out.
Yeah. So, do you buy the whole what is it, the text thread that's going around and stuff like that?
No. Okay. I don't think anyone who can read is buying into that story. They're milking it.
Yeah.
I saw several headlines over the weekend that were like, "Yep, still no connection to the left, none whatsoever."
Yeah, right.
And it's like, at this point though, and I think this is really important. This is where the credibility in the administration is completely thrown out the window, and that it doesn't matter at this point.
That's what I took from it, really. At this point, I don't really know that it is like. I am of the mind that this guy probably is some kind of product of the left, if you want to call it that. But I'm not fully convinced of that right now, because honestly, everything that has come out of this administration and this, I guess the investigation by this administration, I should say, has just been incredible. Meaning not credible.
I feel like one of the things that happens is when you say by the left.
Yeah.
What the fuck's the left?
Well, no. Okay. So there is. So again, the reporting is that this kid was the only left-leaning kid or the only left-leaning member of his family. Everybody else was straight MAGA, and he was somehow radicalized by these left ideas, and that's what led him to go down this path, led astray or something like that. But you're saying you don't believe that he was a part of the left at all?
Oh, no.
Okay. I'm saying it doesn't matter.
It doesn't, and that's very, and here's the quote from his grandmother.
Right.
The shock and blah blah blah. However, authorities are investigating, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, we didn't prepare for this.
Sorry,
my son
took us down
his dad is a Republican for Trump. However, she insisted politics never seemed to interest Tyler. He's the shyest person. He never spoke about politics to me at all. Their entire family are staunch Republicans. I don't know any single one who's a Democrat.
Yeah.
So this has nothing to do with, and this is, we talk about the narrative that comes out of this. It's like, oh my God, a shooting, how tragic.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the response from normal people.
Right. Yeah.
And then you have the folks who immediately, politicized this and was like, it was a trans dude.
Yeah.
Within an hour.
Yeah,
it's no, obviously I know you're lying because that's not being reported.
Yeah. So anyway, but that being said, though, I mean, what they're saying now, though, is us calling the right, us being anybody who's not of the right, I guess, calling, MAGA bad names like fascist and racist and things like that are what's actually radicalizing.
I don't know why you said now.
Yeah.
It's been 10 years.
Yeah. No, I got you. Yeah. I mean, good point. But again, it's like, if we're saying that the left, I'm doing finger quotes here for people who aren't watching, they radicalize their own people by calling, MAGA and right-leaning people fascists and racist. Would it also stand to reason that the right and MAGA radicalize trans people by calling them freaks and weirdos?
If you want to look at the way scales balance,
I know we're trying to apply logic to MAGA, which is like impossible.
But I think
you get what I'm saying there.
I think that's the problem, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is that
because they're completely bad faith in everything they do?
Correct.
Okay.
And also when the folks who try to demonize trans people, trans people are smarter than them. You know what I mean? So they look at that and say, "Oh, they're lying about me."
Right.
You know what I mean? So okay, fuck you.
Yeah.
And I think that's been the biggest response. So it's made up bullshit from the right.
It is. And there's been a lot of and we've through our Facebook reactions and online interactions, I should say, with people in a group and just random people over there, it just seems like the both siderist engine right now is like really kind of ramping up.
Well, before we get into that, let's go over some definitions here.
Yeah.
All right. So when the mayor says that he's fighting against far left extremists,
he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Because what do you consider to be a far left extremist?
So we talked about this a little bit before we started recording, and I kind of left these people out, but yet definitely anarchists are going to be on the far left. And those are people who, you can have like anarcho-capitalists and you can have anarchists and stuff. I know your eyes are glazing over already, but I'm just saying anarchy is like, a lot of people like to consider it like no rules, but it's not. It's like small, conglomerations of governing bodies, throughout and things like that. And nothing is centralized. Everything is decentralized.
Well, this brings up a quick, easy point for us. Nothing is 100% anything.
Of course, yeah. We were going to.
So when we sit here and we talk about an anarchist, the easiest definition is no rules, live, be free. No government control whatsoever.
Yeah,
and that is the far left.
Yeah,
and so. If we were to start moving the spectrum, what would be next?
You probably have communists.
I would.
Which would be...
we both made lists, by the way. We defined these terms independently of each other, and we're kind of now matching up to see how we did. And communists, yes, that would be pretty far left.
And those are stateless and moneyless societies? Yep.
And do you know any communists?
Not a one.
Me neither.
There's probably okay. So I don't know any personally because we are in the deep South. But there are folks that I follow on YouTube who call themselves communists. Nice folk. Don't agree with everything they say, but that's to be expected on pretty much every ground.
Yeah. And And you're not a communist?
No, not at all.
The mayor calls you a communist.
The mayor calls everybody to the left of, Ronald Reagan a communist. Well, I don't know. Ronald Reagan might be a communist now too, actually. But
I don't know. I'll ask him.
Yeah.
Hey, Ronald.
Anybody to his left is a communist at this point. So
pretty far left would be communist.
Yeah.
All right. So what do you think is left? If I were to just say left.
So going farther. Right word of communist would be socialist.
Would be socialist.
Right.
I actually have democratic socialist down because, again, nothing is 100% anything in my book.
Right.
But socialist, democratic socialist, etc.
That would be almost like a decommodification of certain industries, and it could even be production, seizing the means of production is what they always say. It's that's the socialist way. Personally, I don't know how well that would work. Again, I'm not a economist.
Nothing is 100% anything.
Right.
So I'd like to look at one of my favorite definitions of a socialist was in a socialist society,
Mm-hmm.
nobody is poor. You can still have billionaires, but nobody is poor.
Sure.
As opposed to a capitalist society that is, you can have billionaires and
It relies on a certain amount of
trillionaires,
people not being.
but
Yeah.
you're also going to have poor. And socialists say, yes, you can still do all that. You can still shoot for the moon and sit on piles of cash, but
Yeah.
we are going to make sure that nobody is sleeping on the streets tonight.
Okay, so what I think too would probably better define what a socialist would be is like saying, okay, so a lot of us, well, it's becoming rarer nowadays because democracy is even a bad word in some right-wing circles. So a lot of socialists want to have democratization of the workplace. And so more unions and things like that, but also having just they just feel like workers need a more of a say-so in the means of production. Like, so, the unions, like say car workers union, is that factory workers union for cars and things like that? Like the unions would just have more of a say-so in how they run the day-to-day operations. Whereas now they just kind of like, they just advocate for rights. They just, get, hey, we need more pay. We need less hours. We need more health insurance. In a socialist setup, they would be able to set like production standards or things like that, or like, or for that matter, profit sharing, which I mean, more profit sharing, because some unions do have a little bit of profit sharing. But
all right.
Yeah.
And what word would you use to describe the center?
Well, we're just going, so I'm just going to touch real quick on what social democrats will be, because those folks, you have socialists, what I just tried to describe there, but also social democrats are going to be more of a blend of socialism and capitalism.
Right.
So it
Democratic socialist. That's what we were just talking about. Yeah, that's what we were just talking about.
Okay, well, let me just say that real quick, like a social democrat or a democratic socialist, like there are fuzzy differences between those two, and some people prefer a different term, but it is a decommodification of like necessities, like health insurance, or like health care, food and water, and home housing,
basic
needs. Human needs.
Yeah,
it is like basically saying that it is a more robust definition of what are like the social safety net, I guess would be, or a more like, I guess, distribution of.
Yeah, the easiest way we already are living in a democratic socialist country.
Absolutely, we are.
I hope I can edit that out.
But if not, that was
we on the left
yeah.
tend to argue for more. We want our healthcare to be better, more comprehensive,
or at least just have an option to it. Yeah, like there can
lunches.
Still be a capitalist version of healthcare. There just needs to be some sort of like public option in order to like take care of the people who fall between the cracks.
So again,
yeah,
anyone can be rich, but nobody is going to be poor.
Right. Yeah. There's a higher floor.
Yeah. All right. So center. Now we're on to the center. I don't want you peeking.
Oh no. Well, okay. So I'm going to say liberals are next.
I have Democrats.
Okay.
Which
Democrats,
liberals tend to be Democrats. Yep.
But, historically, there have, a lot of Republicans still consider themselves to be liberals, even though Newt Gingrich turned it into a bad word. The liberal consensus, look that up, everybody, is what we're supposedly still living under. I mean, it's being torn down by the day, but that's what we lived under all the way from like, FDR on to, let's say, Obama at that point. And then, which, liberal hasn't always been a bad word. So anyway, after liberals are Democrats.
Well, I wanted to explain because folks may not know what a liberal is. A liberal is one who believes very much in the capitalist side of the economy.
Yeah.
But advocates for social justice.
Social justice, and also that robust social safety net. Yeah.
All right.
There's only so far you can fall.
Yep. So okay, now we're moving from the center to the right. What's next?
Well, you have centrists, what we just talked about, which are like,
Democrats.
people who like
Liberals.
Yeah, I guess those probably could be the same thing. But I guess that there's like a Venn diagram, and Republicans maybe fall in that centrist, area too. But moving on. Yeah. You have what I would consider next. You have what I would consider to be like classical Republicans, or like what they're known as nowadays as rhinos. I mean, and this would include
small government,
Yeah.
less taxes,
Right.
freedom of speech.
Yeah.
Yeah. The stuff that Republicans believed in.
Yeah. Eisenhower.
Before. I don't know. We literally, I can pull it up here where Josh Stein, our governor, said that, the horrific assassination of Charlie Kirk was horrible. And we should never, ever infringe upon someone's free speech.
Sure.
Only to be shared and copied by the mayor, who's like, this is why we have to get rid of Josh Stein. And like, holy shit, you're literally saying I'm against, freedom of speech.
Right, yeah.
And brother, we did not take that out of context.
Yeah. So you got Republicans and rhinos nowadays. And again, these are, you can quibble with some of these terms and who is in all these things, but I would even put people like Ted Cruz in the Republican and rhinos, but definitely, let's see, Joni Ernst, people like that. Mitt Romney, definitely.
Yeah. That was very much the case. I feel like Mitt Romney is a perfect example of a Republican.
Yeah.
John McCain. McCain was another example of a Republican.
Right. Yep.
I forgot to.
It's totally fine. We got sound effects going in the background. That's fine.
So
you may hear that every once in a while because apparently we forgot to take the notifications off of Kevin's phone. We're professionals here.
But yeah, the idea that Mitt Romney, John McCain, I always considered them to be classic Republicans.
Yeah.
The folks who believed in,
George Bush even, No?
He's one of those, he was being led around by.
Yeah, very much so. But still, he was the last, I guess, vanguard for they could say that they were still standing up for Republican values, even though they were still kind of like, skewing towards like Christian nationalist shit that they were doing.
But again, it was not like George Bush isn't. It was that he really didn't stand for anything. He was just being told what to.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. So we covered that. What's next?
Well,
pretty far right. I did mine into far right, pretty far right, right. Mm-hmm. And then I did, far left, pretty far left. So if we were to move to the right of Republicans, what would you have next?
We're probably going to quibble with some of these labels, but I would just say the alt-right is going to be the next beyond.
Ding, ding.
Beyond the Republicans.
I actually put Groyper in there too, because
that one's new. Actually.
That one's new for us.
I did too, actually. Yeah,
we had to find out who was fighting the alt-right, and apparently it wasn't the Democrats.
Do you know? Can you tell me and there's a one specific answer for this?
Okay.
What's the difference between a Republican, and I guess what Republicans stand for more or less, and what the alt-right and Groyper stand for?
Their shoes. No, I got nothing.
Sad trombone. Sorry, you're wrong. No, you don't have anything really?
No.
What's the one big issue that you could think of that, like, I'm just going to say it right now because
Epstein files.
That, yeah. I'm talking about contemporary, like that's a contemporary issue, but I'm thinking like a standing issue that, like, say, okay, so I'm going to call him this because he calls himself this every once in a while. But Nick Fuentes, which is like the leader of these Groypers and stuff like that, they call themselves Nazis.
Right.
So what's a Nazi? What's the difference between a Nazi and a Republican? It's one word.
Nope. I got nothing.
Starts with an I.
Nope.
Israel. It's like the Groypers, the biggest beef that the Groypers had with Charlie Kirk was the fact that he was not hard enough on Israel. And they all felt like he was a sellout.
Israel?
Yep.
or the Jewish people? Because these are two very different things. Were they actually anti-Semites, or were they?
No, they're definitely anti-Semites, but they feel like Israel has too much of a hold on American government, and so they are trying to take Israel's influence out of American government, basically, and they'll do that through anti-Semitic means. It doesn't matter. I mean, they don't give a fuck about being anti-Semitic. It's just it's just a means to an end for them. But I've listened to Nick Fuentes over the last little bit, and like Nick Fuentes will come across as, he's a fascist big time, and he will talk shit lately about Trump's like fascist takeover of like Chicago and like basically putting the military in there, but only because we are still occupied by Israeli influence. If it weren't for the Israeli influence and we had no, AIPAC and all these other, influences in our government, so to speak, this is by Nick's description, by the way, then he would totally be fine with what he's doing. Fascism under the proper circumstances is what they want. Right now, Nick is like against Trump and against, Kirk's stance on all that, simply because we still have Israel in our, influence in our government.
I saw an interesting headline earlier today that Nick is getting a lot of backlash for coming out and saying, "Stop! Don't be a killer. Don't go out and do what this dude did."
Yeah, totally.
And everyone's like, "Wait a minute.
This is what you told us."
Is that what you told us?
Yeah. I'm telling you, that was the biggest thing between him and Charlie was like, it's like Nick was about that life.
Yeah.
And Charlie was just like, hey, we don't have to like, these people still give me money. And that's what it's mainly about anyway.
And of course, if you go far right after that, you're going to just wind up in straight fascist country.
Yeah,
and,
completely.
Yeah.
I mean, again, the Groypers, they call themselves fascists.
We don't need to define that word.
Kevin, real quick, was there somebody on that list that we didn't mention?
Yes. Depending on which side of the railroad tracks you grew up on, some would say MAGA, you say MAGA.
Every once in a while, when I'm feeling fancy.
Yeah. You feel fancy now?
So make America great again.
So we've been going on about all this stuff and trying to really, because like MAGA's not really in our wheelhouse of people that we're trying to talk to and reach out to. We're at the 83% who didn't show up. That's who we want to talk to and educate on stuff.
I will even go so far as to say, fuck those people.
Oh, and last week it was my turn to go off on folks. So this week is Steven's.
Yeah.
But why didn't we include MAGA on this list?
Because they don't believe in shit.
They don't believe in shit. They changed their opinion. I mean, right now they're all fucking throwing out their goddamn Tylenol.
Yeah. Right.
No one's in there being like, and this is like one of those things that we had this conversation with a couple nights ago where why is it difficult for us to get a message out to our people, to our group? Why can't we get 500 people in the town square tomorrow and say, hey, can we all join up for this? We're just going to join up and we're going to celebrate 4-leaf clovers. And the first thing we're going to get is, why 4-leaf clovers? Why not 5-leaf clovers?
Right.
And it's just this constant why? Which, let me be clear, is fan-fucking-tastic. Yep. I love to be on the side of people who question things, who want to know more, who are like, can you give me the reference? Can you give me the source?
Yeah.
And MAGA does not fall into that category.
Absolutely not. MAGA basically stands for, and I'm not, they live to tear shit down. Like they don't
live to shit.
No, but I'm saying they
have to be able to change their entire moral center because of dear leaders' statement.
Yeah, but I'm just saying their entire project right now is to literally tear down all institutions. And rebuild them in a Christian nationalist form.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, seriously, it's like that to me is like, if you had to put a label on them, they're fucking Christian nationalists at this point. They don't give a shit about democracy. They don't care about, one person, one vote. They damn sure don't want to give people, or not allow people, a safety net by any means. But
I also think that the whole if you say that they are Christian nationalists and that's where they align, that to me does not equal MAGA, because that is a firm stance on something with a core belief. Right now, they're following a 34 felon, traitor, adulterer.
Yeah, but they
and that's not part of their Christian belief system.
No, but they do. No, they justify that, saying that he's like King David or something like that. Like he's the new reincarnation of, like, not literally, but I'm saying King David was this imperfect figure that God used in order to bring Israel, like glorification to Israel. But they are literally saying that he is,
Okay. So they're not Christians, they're stupid.
No, they're very fucking stupid. Don't get me wrong. I mean, none of this shit makes sense.
No.
But as long as they've got this, it's basically QAnon, where they've married politics and religion. I mean, that's the like tying force that comes to brings everybody together. So if they do have any sort of tie that bond, is what I was trying to think of. It is definitely Christian nationalism.
I wanted this was going to be my sign off today.
Okay.
For a quote.
Okay.
Because it's just so fucking stupid.
Okay.
Now let me set the stage for you. At a vigil.
Yes.
At a memorial for a beloved figure in some people's eyes, RFK Jr. had this to say. Conversation.
Sorry. I'm just.
It's a horrible. No, actually, that was a really good impression.
That's pretty good.
Conversation was the only way to heal our country. We are all hooked into social algorithms that are hacked into the reptilian cores of our brain and amplify our impulses for tribalism and division. And that is the dumbest fucking thing I've heard today.
So I have said before that RFK knows enough of the language of smart people to be able to mimic smart people. But then, and so he is a dumb person's example of a smart person. I mean, and so is Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan knows enough to he's got enough, ability to memorize certain phrases and retain a little bit that he reads the day before in order to have a semi-intelligent conversation with people and stuff. But they don't know shit about shit. That you get them in front of an actual learned person and they get just dressed down immediately. Both of them.
And this is, something that I always joke with folks because, I give advice to people all the time about, doing this, I'm running for office and stuff like this. And I tell them 2 questions. That's all you need. 2 questions. And the MAGA person you're talking to has no fucking idea how to answer that second question. They don't. They memorized a few headlines. They heard a talking point here.
Yep.
2 questions and you'll get to the base of it. And that's, one of the observations that we have about some of these debate tactics out there.
Yeah.
Diversion and changing the subject to avoid answering that second question.
Yep.
All right. On to the big beef, as she says.
The big beef. Is this going to be the vigil that we had here in Monroe?
Yeah.
Okay. So we are going to try something a little bit new in that I'm going to try to play a bit of a clip, and this was provided to us. I want to say, did Kara put this together?
Yeah, Kara did a lot of the research. This was a lot of hate speech, and she wanted to make sure that she had an accurate record of it.
Right. So special thanks to Kara Murphy for doing this work, and love you, babe. And this was shared by also the Radical Roots podcast, who got a good bit of play out of this. I think over 100,000 views. So we really appreciate those guys too. If you don't know who Radical Roots podcast are, please go check those folks out. They're doing great work.
But before you hit play, I want to remind folks that this was a vigil.
Yes, very much so.
This was a memorial.
Supposed to be a vigil for Charlie Kirk that happened in Monroe, North Carolina.
And it's nothing like I ever heard at a vigil. Go ahead.
All right, let's see how this works. Real quick, this is William Wolf, who is speaking before Rob Burns, our mayor. So he's the fluffer. He's Rob Burns' fluffer. Ooh. If the Democrats were only so cool.
Right? I swear, I wish the Democrats were half of what they thought that they were.
Oh my God! So, there's still more of this, but I just have to cut it every once in a while. The Democrats are both feckless and useless, but also the most horrifying,
wicked.
wicked. They're ruining our children, and in every facet of society, they're destroying everything. So anyway, not to start throwing out names already, but this is what fascists do. They
declare an enemy.
They're both the strongest and the most set upon people there is. So anyway, here's more of this.
Drive us out of public lands.
Basically, he's just saying. This is
This is nope.
Yep.
This is exactly what I've been asking from episode 1.
Yep.
When you say drive us out of these lands, what do you mean?
Yeah, I'm not sure that's exactly what he said. Let's replay that. Hold on.
Yeah.
Wait, sorry, I didn't back it up far enough. Public squares, but yeah.
Drive the wickedness out of the public squares.
Yeah. So that means,
they want to kill us.
I don't honestly I think if you ask William Wolfe or any of these, slobber mouths in the audience who are listening to this and clapping along, how they would go about that, I'm sure they would have no really good answer, but it just means that no more they have really decided that Democrats or leftists for that matter, but especially Democrats, have no they have no purchase on this country anymore. The Democrats don't belong here.
Right.
Yeah, and we have no authority to hold office. Anytime that we do, it's against God and all this other stuff, because they are the only ones who have the mandate. Anytime they get elected, every other time it's it's obviously of the devil. So anyway, and he just said that wickedness just means of Satan. Oh, here comes Stephen Miller. He just loves Stephen Miller so much. Oh, there it is right there. So we're gonna destroy these networks. Basically, just means that any of your leftist organizations that just advocate for leftist issues, they're all terrorists now.
Apparently, ABC was on that list.
Yeah, absolutely. But any of your popular left wing commentators online. Yeah, right. He's coming after us. We're not popular enough.
Yeah, we are definitely not. We do not have that kind of reach.
If only.
But I'd like to. Are we going to play more of this? Because I really hate Stephen Miller.
Yeah. There's another 2 minutes of this, but hey, we got to get content out of this, man. No, here we go. But Stephen Miller's a shithead, by the way, and I have to make this joke. Stephen Miller is the most hated man in America, more or less. Even his dog hates him. Yeah, it's funny in my head. Game time. Woo! My screen froze up a little bit. I'm having issues in the unfinished attic with my my internet access. It'll come up in just a second. But so he actually goes on to talk about, and we'll probably hear it in a second. But Stephen Miller, there was some quotes that we had decided not to read of Stephen Miller's because we just don't want to spend so much time on this guy. Just a loathsome figure, and so this guy William Wolfe. Please, everybody, remember that name. Even if Burns loses in the upcoming primary, like we think he's going to, this guy William Wolfe is going to be around Monroe for quite a long time. He actually used to be with the Heritage Foundation and was part of Trump's previous administration. So I forget exactly what he did in those.
Fluffer, I think you said earlier. Fluffer.
I did. Right. Yes. Fluffer.
Well, the William Wolfe is going to be running for office, folks, and Burns is going to lose that primary. Burns is absolutely 100% losing that primary. We got more on that coming up. We do have his opponent.
Let me see if I can. Sorry. It's just, yeah. Might be able to cut some of this out. Your editing.
I don't know if I'm good enough to do that, so we may have to have the people suffering with us. Can we just give up on that, though?
Yeah, we are.
All right, cool.
Yeah, no problem. So he does go on to say, like, this is not a lot of these people have, a lot of the people in the, I would say the right, not necessarily the MAGA movement, but definitely in the right, have more or less accepted, like, let's just say gay and lesbian and bisexual and all this other, most of the letters of the alphabet mafia, they have accepted for now anyway, except for the trans people. Like, trans people are like the last holdout that they can still, at this point, still, call names and still be accepted, by most people. I mean, they're taking the brunt of everybody's hatred at the moment. But the thing that William Wolfe does here is that he does not specify just trans people. He actually goes on to talk about homosexuals too. So just so you know, all you just log cabin Republicans, which are basically like all you grinder visiting Republicans out there, these people are coming for you next. I mean, they just are. And to think that they're just going to stop at the T's and leave all the other letters alone is just fucking, I mean, that's delusional shit. And so, just stand by your brothers and sisters.
I would also like to point out, because a thought occurred to me, that the mayor's vigil, his attack on Payron, these folks, these are dry runs.
Oh, sure.
This is a dry run. He wanted to see if he sent the internet after a black member of our community, how many people would show up for him online.
A lot, it turns out.
Well, most of them were bots, I'm fairly certain, because I mean, it's fucking Burns. People don't like hearing him. Even I'm sure. Okay. But this vigil was the other thing. In 2 days, I want you at the town square so you can hate on people with me. Who's coming with me?
Yep.
He was able to get that rally together very, very quickly. Yep. And I'm going to say that the only shining light, the silver lining, if you will, is that most of those fuckers don't live in Monroe.
No, a lot of them didn't. I guarantee it. Yeah. I mean, there's enough of them there to where that do that, that would probably, make a small difference, I guess, in our voting public or something like that. But a lot of these people, they were shipped in. Some of the speakers, as a matter of fact, were part of other right-wing organizations. I mean, they were literally like, they were teenagers brought in from other places. They don't live here.
And if you missed your chance to buy your merch at that vigil, just check out the mayor's website. I'm sure he'll be happy to sell you something.
Have you seen the Freedom shirts with bullet holes in them? You want to talk about tasteless horse shit? Like, and that's nothing. Like, that's not from a leftist. That is, these people are fucking weird.
Fucking weird.
They're fucking weird. Okay, so another thing that William Wolfe goes on to say later on too is, like, he pointed to the "In God We Trust" on the municipal building behind him, and he says that ain't for Buddhists. That ain't some what do you say? Nondescript God. That's not for Islamists. That's not for Hindus. I think he's what he said. That is for the one triune God.
Of course.
Of Jesus Christ and Charlie Kirk. And so again, this vigil that was being used, that was set up on Monroe city property there, and given credence by the fucking mayor, is again like it advocating for Christian nationalist horseshit, and our city officials just allowed it to fucking happen. And then had fucking police show up in SWAT gear to protect these people because they're so like set upon.
They're so powerful. They have God behind them, and yet are very scared and oppressed at the same time. Schrodinger's Republican. All right. Okay. So
are we done with William Wolf?
Well, I just want to bring it up again because I think this might have gotten glossed over, or will get edited out if we decide to go that far. But William Wolf is running for town council next year.
City council, yes.
All right. So Burns is done in the primary. Who's he going to lose to?
We hope Pat Cale.
We don't hope. We know Pat Cale. I'm buying a T-shirt from her as soon as I can find one.
Yep.
Pat Cale is running against Mayor Burns. She's running because of Mayor Burns, because she used to be the the president of the County Chamber of Commerce.
Yep.
So she knows how bad this hateful rhetoric is for the businesses in a city and in a county.
And unlike Burns, she has relevant experience. She was a business owner for many, many years. I think she owned like one of the hallmarks in the mall in Monroe here. Also, like you say, she was the president of the Chamber of Commerce, and she there was another business her and her husband ran too, and I can't remember what it is now. But and also she's been part of many organizations throughout the years. This woman has served her community well, has so much more experience than this fucking numbnuts that just skipped into town and decided he was I'm gonna be a mayor.
A beloved character on the left and the right, because she embodies kind of what we have been saying from the beginning, is that local politics transcends party. Yep. You don't have to be a member of a party. You don't have to follow. If you are a Republican, if you are a Democrat, and you follow that platform, it has nothing to do with fixing the potholes, putting up stop signs.
Yep, keeping people's energy bills low.
Get the fuck out of here. So, Wolf and Ball will be running for town council. We would love it if they would lose in a primary, but that is very, very unlikely.
And so what I would like to do, actually, I've mentioned many times that you and I are both unaffiliated voters.
Unaffiliated?
What can unaffiliated voters do that
pick the Republican ballot in the primary and vote against fascists?
Why would you cheat like that, Kevin?
That's not cheating.
Are you sure?
I am definitely 100% sure.
The one thing that I would not recommend, and just because I think it's just bad form, any of you Democrats out there that want to become unaffiliated in order to vote in the Republican primary, that's totally allowed. But and then you can do whatever you want to beyond that. But anyway, I know what I'll be doing, and that is voting in the Republican primary for Pat Cale. Anyway, so we've gone over William Wolf enough, I think, at this point.
Yep, we're at 45 minutes. So
yeah, so I wanted to talk about both siderism and stuff like that, and some of this just because of all the shit that's gone on with Charlie Kirk. It just seems like
if you sit there and you say both sides, people who can read think you're a fucking idiot.
It's the laziest thing.
It's so dumb.
It's just like
whataboutism, both sides.
Whataboutism is both sides' ugly cousin. Sorry, I had to do that. So both siderists will basically say that both parties are equally as radical on the fringes, and the only reasonable position to hold is in the center of any given topic. That is the dumbest thing I've ever fucking heard.
Why is that dumb?
Well, because there is no center to like climate change debate. You can have educated people talking about climate change, or you can have non-educated people throwing out their horseshit opinions. Just because you have, it's like the old thing, the old commercials is 4 out of 5 dentists agree. That 5th dentist, I need to find out what that dude has to say. He seems... Jesus fucking. So that a centrist would basically say that 5th dentist probably has some important information to give.
Yeah, I mean that's just basically Joe Rogan,
A
right there.
both-siderist. Did I say centrist? A both-siderist would say that. Yeah.
Joe Rogan's pretty much that 5th dentist every time.
Yeah, he has fallen off a fucking conspiratorial cliff. So I will say, and I'm not going to go down this path with Joe Rogan, but like when he first started like kind of podcasting. He was a conspiracy nut, like denied the moon landing, all kinds of other shit. Just really was like, kind of just idiot.
He bought into the 5th dentist.
He was idiot brained. Later though, he would have really fucking smart people come on his podcast. And like, I remember, as a matter of fact, there was a podcast, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was Neil deGrasse Tyson talked him out of being a moon landing denier. And therefore, like, so for, I don't know, a good probably year or so, I was actually listening to Joe Rogan's podcast every once in a while.
It was probably the same year you had Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It was right around that time. But he was a reasonable person that held a lot of, let's just call them left-wing views, but it was more like, geared towards human rights, because human rights are, the way that everybody should be kind of moving towards, I think. But now he has fallen off this fucking conspiracy thing again. And I just, it's all, in my opinion, it's all based on money.
Yeah,
this dude got so fucking rich and just started paying attention to the wrong fucking people again. And
it's not paying attention. It's they're paying
credence.
him.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There you go. Sorry. Yeah. That was probably a better way to put it. So anyway,
we're not paid, so we spew our nonsense for free.
I mean, again, it's not that we're not for sale. We will never sell out our beliefs, though. So anyway, more. I mean, so I had a lot of arguments with specific people on Facebook about this, and I've tried my best to get across my very nuanced view of what both-siderism is and what and why it's horseshit, and I'll do my best to really kind of explain it in so many sentences.
And I'll interrupt if you start talking about trains.
Please do. Choo choo, motherfucker. See, both-siders are like trains, Kevin.
And cut.
No. Okay. So, again, I will totally concede the point that there are, if you want to call them radicals, whatever, there are crazy people who have left-wing views, and there are crazy people who have right-wing views. Am I okay with that?
Both sides.
Damn it. Got me. No, it's like, so, but that has nothing to do with their views, so to speak. It's just like these people are imbalanced, and they feel like the crazy shit that's going on in their head, like, hey, I don't like what that guy's saying. I think he needs to be silenced. That's a mental illness. And something that we need to very much rid ourselves of, because obviously political violence is never okay. But the problem with both-siderists is that they want to say that anything that right-wing people do is canceled out because there are left-wing crazies as well, which is
imbalanced.
Well, no, okay, yeah, but let's leave aside the statistics that say 70, since I forget what it was, but like over the last like 2 to 3 decades or something like that, like 76% of all 74% of all political violence has been carried out by right-wing extremists, right? I mean, and so, and the president and his administration quickly deleted all that information. So,
Gone.
Yeah. So we don't have to worry about that anymore. But the main thing is like I need for people to understand that like the projects of the right and the left are where a lot of these differences are made, or I guess where the the Venn diagram stops to stops crossing each other. Because if you could just imagine a world of like what extreme right wing people would be, and I'm calling these people MAGA. Just imagine the world that MAGA wants, and you imagine the world of what a left winger wants. Extreme left winger, which we called like a communist or something like that. And you may not agree with what a communist wants, or what a socialist wants for that matter. But the socialist is advocating for what? Free healthcare, maybe? Free housing for those who need it. Maybe even like free food. What like Mamdani right now is talking about, like setting up, more or less like government run grocery stores and food deserts and things like that. Like, in my opinion, and this may be a caricature to some people, like Brian Kilmeade said it the other day on air that what we should do with homeless people. One host says we need to arrest them if they don't want to accept our services, our kindness. We need to arrest them and put them in jail. That's what they want to do with homeless people. And then Brian Kilmeade took it a little step farther and was like, or we just kill them. I mean, point me in the direction.
We were very upset to hear that he got fired for that statement.
I think you may be wrong about that, Kevin.
What?
I know.
Both sides.
Sad. It's sad that he didn't. Right. So again, like, I go back to the fact that like there is no equivalent to MAGA on the left. There just isn't. There is no like totalitarian streak running through any of the socialists that I know of. And maybe
the idolatry.
Yeah.
We don't hold that on the left towards any of our politicians. We vote for them. We root for them. But as soon as they're in office, we hold them accountable.
Sure. Absolutely.
And, if I may, I'm going to make a comparison to North Korea. I was stationed in Korea, so I started to learn a lot. And one of the greatest, South Korea.
Yeah.
One of the best stories that I saw was they were putting out this propaganda, the government propaganda. They had 4 channels, and they were all showing documentaries. And there's a factory that's making all these shoes, and dear leader, thank you so much for all these shoes, and look at all these shoes.
Right.
And the guy's sitting in a chair in his house, and all of a sudden he's like, if they have all those shoes, why don't I have any for my family? And immediately, like, the wife gets very, very nervous because there's spies everywhere and whatever. And he is watching on TV all of these shoes get manufactured, and then he's looking at his own feet.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the big disconnect in MAGA, because it's like, hey, gas prices are coming down. And it's like that disconnect of, dear leader said it must be true. They were not this man in the recliner.
Yeah.
They were the other side of it. Like, oh, look at all those fabulous shoes. I don't have shoes, but obviously everyone else has shoes, and that's fantastic.
Right. 2 + 2 = 5, my man.
Sorry to get off topic.
No, it's all right. So again, I'm never going to convince somebody who feels that, they're in the right because they're in the center of every argument. But I just, there is no center to the argument of saying everyone is deserving of health care and no one is deserving of health care. Like, what is the center of that argument?
Well, I would actually refer back to our friend, Mr. Wolf.
Yeah.
When I sit here and I say, hey, I'm going to run for office against Mr. Wolf, and I say, you know what? I'm going to push really, really hard to make sure that housing becomes affordable for the residents of Monroe. Mm-hmm. And he says, I want to kill all trans people.
Yeah, I mean, there you go.
Both sides.
Both sides. Yeah,
Both sides.
Yeah. And we'll get off of this, but I wanted to throw out one more pretty glaring both sides that I always get, which is the comparison between like January 6th and the BLM so-called riots.
So we have an attempt to overthrow the government versus protests. Just to be clear.
Yeah, but
okay.
Who was trying to overthrow the government there, Kevin?
Well, I don't think it was people who can read above a 4th grade level, Stephen.
So just because they have a couple pictures of like fires being set in a couple cities, I mean that they automatically say both sides on this because a riot is a riot is a riot, right?
Riots are riots.
Yeah,
I believe that's a famous song by the Beatles.
right. So, but leaving aside the fact that like I think it was like 90 some odd percent of all the protests for the George Floyd incident were peaceful. There were a couple of incidents where shit got literally inflamed. The only difference between those things is like the folks with January 6th, what were they trying to do?
Overthrow the government.
Well, they're definitely trying to delay the counting of the votes and
for the purpose of overthrowing the government.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, but they were trying to for the very first time in history they delayed the counting of the certification of the presidency. But they literally like went through many steps, and one of those was involving having 7 states send fake slates of electors. Literally in an email said these are fake slates of electors that we're sending to Washington in order to fake certify the vote. And the only reason they didn't do that shit was why you had one fucking person in the way that still had a shred of fucking dignity about him, and which was Mike Pence, and just that was he was the lone person standing between us and
one of my favorite stories from the aftermath was when he called Dan Quayle, because they were telling him, like, he had all these folks telling him like, hey, you don't have to do this, blah blah blah. If you delay the certification, this will happen, and we can name Trump the winner. And he called Dan Quayle, and Dan Quayle was like, that's not your job. Right. You are not there as anything other than to oversee and make sure.
You're an administrator.
You're not a part of this.
Yeah. And so they were trying to send it back to the states and all that, so that basically they could just vote in Trump for another term, even though he didn't win he didn't win the popular vote, he didn't win any of didn't win the electoral college, any of that other stuff like that. So so I went to one of the things they want to always throw out with the BLM riots and stuff like that is this thing called CHAZ, which is up in Seattle. And it stands CHAZ, CHAZ stands for Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. And this was basically like a 6-block area where somehow, and honestly, I'm not even sure how this happened, but it was like basically there was a police department within this little area right here that like more or less got vacated by the police because I guess, protesters and things, kind of drove them out. I mean, none of them had weapons or anything like that. They literally just occupied the area and made it impossible for the police to be able to stay. So when the police vacated, they used the police own barricades and stuff to set up a perimeter around the Capitol or the police department and occupied the area. It just basically became like just a hippie fest. I mean, it was it was a nonviolent, occupation. And it kind of just turned into like a festival atmosphere, more or less. But I'm going to just go over a couple of the lists of demands that, we went over the list of, we talked about what the Jan 6 people really wanted to do. They wanted to, first off, they wanted to murder Congress people. They literally had a gallows set up outside. And they wanted to overturn the election, which was going to basically destroy American democracy forever. But the thing that a lot of these both siders say that these protesters wanted to basically do the same thing. They were like, they were trying to overthrow the government. The list of demands that the Chaz people put out was and don't get me wrong, some of these demands are batshit crazy and would probably
naked pictures of B. Arthur.
Right. Talk to me later. So, like I say, I would probably myself wouldn't advocate for things like this, but this was a list of demands that they had. So, the abolition of the police department and criminal justice apparatus. No use of armed forces, and this is like the National Guard and things like that, in order to clear the autonomous zone. So they were just trying to kind of give themselves an out, like a peaceful out, in order to get out of this situation that they had created for themselves. They also demanded an end to the school to prison pipeline and the abolition of youth jails. Horrible fucking people. I mean, really,
absolute worst.
Jesus Christ. Can you imagine Can you imagine no more school to prison pipelines? I mean, how would we fill our for-profit prisons without putting children in there? Just fucking shit. Anyway, they wanted to reopen investigations into like past and current cases of police brutality, and they wanted reparations for some of the victims that were victims of this police brutality. Well, so-called police brutality. Let's just give them the benefit of the doubt. They wanted retrials for certain criminals for those like crimes like for marijuana and small drug possessions, and they wanted to end for-profit prisons. These were basically like criminal justice reformers. I mean, they weren't looking to overturn, definitely weren't looking to overturn the entire United States government, but they were also they just wanted, better conditions for people, right? And J6 rioters, insurrectionists, were looking to do none of that. They were just looking for power at that point.
To serve dear leader.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the difference, in my opinion, with both sides.
The BLM protests were among the largest in U.S. history. 20 million plus participants. Mm-hmm. By sheer numbers, the amount of unrest was relatively small. Yes, some of the BLM protests were violent.
And all those all those arrests, they got immediately pardoned by Joe Biden, right?
Nope.
Not a one?
Not a one.
Holy shit.
Holy shit.
How many J6ers got pardoned?
All of them.
Every
fucking one, except for Ashley Babbitt.
Yeah.
Although I do think that we paid her family like $3 million or $5 million.
We did. We actually, there was a settlement that just, she got posthumously got the Medal of Freedom or something like that, I believe, too.
Yeah, they've just decided to give away that thing. Yeah. Anyway, the vast majority of the BLM protests were peaceful. 93 to 97% of demonstrations had no violence or property destruction, with 20 million people. That's all. Both sides.
I'm going to do a little bit of math. That's not many. Okay, so I probably could have much more to say about both siders, and quite frankly, I'm going to have much more to say about both siders on this podcast because, in my opinion, both siderism is one of the most pervasive and destructive lies that permeate our media landscape today. It basically, if you want to, I'll tell you what, if you want a good example of a both siderist in action, read almost any fucking David Brooks column. I absolutely loathe David Brooks. He is written for many of the most liberal magazines and newspapers in the country. And right now he's being employed by the very liberal New York Times, and he spews a lot of both siderist horse shit. Basically, it's like David Brooks is one of these like Republican rhinos nowadays that is more or less on the outs of power because he was overturned by the fascists in his party, who he denied the existence of for most of his career until he could no longer ignore them because they had more or less like kicked him and everybody else out that didn't want to just hand Donald Trump the keys to the fucking country. But every single time David Brooks writes a column, it's like Republicans really need to do this soul searching, and they're never gonna be able to live down this horror that they're inflicting on the people. But also, Democrats are bad. It's literally just that. And if you want, I am not going to do a very good breakdown of this, but I've talked about this podcast before. But the professional left, with Driftglass and Blue Gal, this is their hobby horse, and David Brooks is Driftglass is just like he just beats the shit out of David Brooks on a regular basis. So please go check those folks out because it is just an enlightening experience to listen to them. When
you're dealing with a both sideser, here are some fun facts. The single largest domestic violence extremist threat in the United States is right-wing extremism in terms of death, plots that actually result in harm, attacks on institutions, and potential for large-scale violence. And Some of you out there watching this, Mayor Fuckface, may not be familiar, but what I'm going to give you now are the sources for all this. This is from the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, CSIS. These are...
AKA the deep state.
Yeah, this is like government stuff here. That, that's a good point. It may have been erased by now.
I'm sure it was.
But left-wing extremist violence exists and is real.
Sure.
But in many cases,
nobody is
acts
denying that.
Are less lethal, more symbolic, and less organizationally capable. Well, I mean, you and I can definitely talk about organizationally capable.
Shit. Try to get somebody to show up and have a beer at a place.
Jesus Christ, well, have they ever spoken to a Republican? Right. So anyway, when you're talking about this, it's not the same at all. It's a false equivalence. It is absolutely just insane to think that these are both.
It's not this
equal.
This argument. Yeah, this both sider of shit is not designed to win any arguments. It is designed to stop conversation.
And to be clear, when you hear someone say both sides, ask them the follow-up question.
Yeah.
Would you agree that the January 6th rioters were out of fucking control and deserve to be thrown in prison for life?
Right.
Because that's their side.
Yeah.
And they tend to shy away from that very quickly.
Yep.
Oh, no. I mean, it is both sides, but, sometimes it's justified. Get the fuck out of here.
Well, I mean, and to bring this on a very local level, I'm going to make it very easy for everybody who's wondering about the both sides shit.
Is there math involved? Because
absolutely not. Absolutely not. There's a coin toss involved. So, but I would ask you to basically, you got two choices. We know full well that Burns is going to be running for mayor coming up, right? So if he, by some, I guess, miracle of God, his own God, his own personal God. That's the only way
he's going to make it past.
Right.
In which case I'm converting.
Yeah. Right. If he were to be able to be, running for mayor again in the general, and say one of the Democratic candidates, it's either Franco or Saluda, most likely. You've got to choose Burns, or you've got to choose one of the Democrats. You could have your problems with any of the Democrats, but who are you going to choose? I mean, anybody watching this program is probably going to choose one of the Democrats, even though you may not agree with them on most issues. You probably agree with them on more issues than you do Burns. And the thing about, so anybody right now, and I'm speaking more or less directly to one person at this point, but I'm not going to call them out because I think that's rude. But my example, I give that example mainly because if you feel like Burns on this level of government right here in Monroe, North Carolina is bad for this city, and you can clearly enunciate why and give examples of why he's bad for this city. Burns is a carbon copy, or he's trying to be. Let me say this: he was trying to be a carbon copy of Charlie Kirk, but he gets his cues from Trump. Let's just be honest. And so, if you are telling me that you are opposing Burns at this level of government, you have to then just extrapolate that out into most of the right wing at this point, other than some of these, scared shitless, Republicans who are just unwilling to stand up to Trump. So anyway, that's my last plea for the both siderists to please step down off of that fucking ledge that you're dragging us all towards, because what's going to happen is it's you're just going to both sides us all the way into a fucking infinity until we've got literal fucking gulags outside of our fucking doors and we're hiding in our goddamn attics. So I just I guess this might be the question I'll leave you with. At what point is will you finally say, this is the line that we've crossed over into fascism? I mean, the whole Jimmy Kimmel thing that just happened, it was oh no, ABC completely fired him of their own volition. We didn't, they just point to, try to point to equal examples of people on the right getting canceled and think that, I don't know, that somehow it just all equates out in the wash. I don't really know. So anyway, moving on, Kevin, you're making that face at me.
No, I was making it at the computer.
Okay, sorry. But I guess you ready to start kind of closing this thing down?
Yep. Just like everything, I feel like the problems that are being faced by certain people, the onus has to be on the different demographic that's being targeted. We watched Mr. Wolf target trans people the other day.
Yep.
Transphobia is not a problem for trans folks in our community to solve. It's an issue for us to solve.
Yeah, just like racism is not black people's problem to solve, it's white people's problem.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead. I did.
Yes. And same thing when it comes to the fascism. There has to be a certain point where the folks who have enabled it up until this point take ownership of it and start to fight back. Not just the people who are being oppressed by these folks, but the folks who enabled it.
Yep. I've got a lengthy quote from Lincoln here.
Oh, fuck me.
Choo-choo, motherfucker.
I have work tomorrow. Not all lefties hang out in their basement.
I know. This is like 3 paragraphs, too, but I'll go quick. But Lincoln was very long-winded and used very flowery language. And I thought it was pretty, so that's why I wanted to do it. So anyway, here's the Republican president, the first Republican President Lincoln. Many great and good men sufficiently qualified for any task they could undertake may ever be found, whose ambition would aspire to nothing beyond a seat in Congress, a gubernatorial or a presidential chair, but such belong to not to the family of the lion or the tribe of the eagle. What think these places would satisfy an Alexander, a Caesar, or a Napoleon? Never. Towering genius disdains a beaten path. It seeks regions hitherto unexplored. It sees no distinction in adding story to story upon monuments of fame erected to the memories of others. It denies that the glory enough to serve under any chief. It scorns to tread in the footsteps of any predecessor, however illustrious. It thirsts and burns for distinction, and if possible, it will have it, whether at the expense of emancipating slaves or enslaving free men. It is reasonable then to expect that some man possessed of the loftiest genius, coupled with the ambition sufficient to push it into the utmost stretch, will at some time spring up among us. And when such a one does, it will require the people to be united with each other, attached to the government and laws, and generally intelligent, and successfully frustrate his designs.
I was saying balloons.